What do you think, Frankie? Think this will work? Good enough, right? Just dirt. Hey folks, Astro Diver number 1 here. And today is February 22nd, 2022. Which happens to be the 36th anniversary of my wife's and myself's first date. But today I'm going to be building a raised garden. And the reason why I'm building a raised garden is I'm a pretty tall guy, and this will be up close to 4 feet off the ground, well 3 feet off the ground at least. And not only does it keep things like rabbits out, but it's also a lot easier to weed. I don't have to bend over, I don't have to get down on the ground. And then when the next season comes around, I just pull out all the dead stuff and plop in the new stuff. So what you're gonna need is 3/4 inch thick, pressure treated. It's important to be pressure treated. 4 by 8 sheet of plywood. That's 1.2 by 2.4 meters for the rest of the world, and that's the last metric conversion I'm doing. And then you're gonna need 3 1 inch thick by 7.5 inch wide by 8 foot long sides. You can use 2 on each long side and then cut 1 for the ends. You're also going to need a lot of dirt, obviously, your organic matter of choice. You're going to need some screws, and you're going to need some way to keep the raised bed up off the ground. I had a garden built like this 15 years ago, and it held up well, held up for 13, 14 years. I had to tear it down about 1.5 years ago to make room for the garage here. So it's only going about 30 feet from where it was before. I think I'm going to pick this spot right here. Right now it's almost noon, so we're going to get some afternoon sun there. And at about 4 o'clock, this area here is going to be shaded. So, should be the best place I have, at least, to set it up. So you're also going to want something to set the raised bed up on. You can use a lot of different things. Cinder blocks would work fine. I'm going to use these old, I think they're 10 by 10 landscaping timbers. These are all about 30 to 32 inches long, so I'm going to pick the best 5 out of those, 1 for each corner and then 1 in the middle. And then the last garden, which I said lasted 12-13 years, that had 40-inch beams on them, but I pretty much shot them up. Unfortunately, my truck doesn't fit back here, and that's a heavy piece of plywood. I decided I'm going to grade this out a little better. I'm going to end up moving it a little bit east from where I planned, so while I have the tractor, it doesn't have to be perfectly level. In fact, that helps to drain it, you know, in a heavy rain, but you don't want it leaning either. I've got 2 legs screwed in. They could be moved later. This is just to stand it up, and then I've got 2 posts just sitting there. Hopefully this maneuver will work. Well, there we go. Most of the heavy lifting's done. I can kind of level this the way I want it and then move the posts where I want them. About 4:30 now. I had to wait a few hours for the camera battery to charge. But thinking back on it, I did have 7 posts. I had 2 on each corner, 1 in the center, and then I had 1 in the middle of the length there. So I found an old fence post that's pressure treated. I'm just going to cut that and put those in the middle. So on the center post, you can see the wood's a little bit bowed in the center. I've got it's 2 inches longer than the corner post, but what's going to happen is all that weight's going to get on it and that'll settle down. And you want to make sure that the edges are all flush. That way when you're putting the sides on, you can go into both materials. One of the things I failed to mention earlier is you're going to need to drill holes through the bottom for water drainage. So I'm just going to use a old 1/4 inch drill bit and make a bunch of little holes. Well, I don't know how many holes I drilled, but that many. Keep in mind, these holes are going to plug up pretty quickly, but they'll still let water seep through. And most of the drainage is going to be on this low corner, that low corner up there. Alright, next day I had some things to do before it got dark. One, putting the sides up on top of the plywood. Before I had a 10 or 12 inch sheet, and it was just easy to go ahead and screw it right to this. But they were non-pressure treated and they warped after several years, and I had to replace those. So this wood is pressure treated, but it's not as thick, or as wide I should say. And so I'm going to set it up on top. That way I'll have a full 7.5 inches of soil. You know, I probably should have used the most warped piece instead of in the front there on the long side. I should have used it for the short end, but I've already secured it and I don't feel like doing it again. Alright, it's all set to start putting stuff in it. Something I neglected to say earlier is that you are also going to want an aggregate for the bottom, like a crushed stone. Not much, just a 1/4 inch, just to help for drainage. I'm going to use some old crushed concrete fines that I happen to have laying around. Well, this stuff in it isn't as coarse as I would like, but it should still work. So I'm going to add the topsoil first. I believe I have 15 or 16 cubic feet total, and about 10 of that is topsoil, the cheap stuff with a lot of sand in it, and then, you know, the other 5 or 6 cubic feet are going to be like Miracle Grow kind of stuff. So I got 7 cubic feet of the cheap stuff down there, and now I'm starting to put this Ace Garden soil on, which really looks very peaty to me. And then I'm going to top it off with 4 cubic feet of this stuff here. So I did end up using all 16 cubic feet of soil, and that's going to put me about 7.5 inches deep in the center there, which is going to be more than enough. Well, I think this is going to wrap this little project up. As you saw, the sides are 39 inches high, so that's the height of the soil. Makes it really easy to weed. Just a few notes on the cost. The 4 pieces of wood that I had to buy were $100, which is ridiculous. And the dirt and the plants were probably another $60. And I used 16 cubic feet of soil. So I do plan on doing an update on this garden probably in 2 months. So if you want, you can hit that notification bell. Don't worry, I won't flood in your notification inbox because I only make videos every few months. And I expect this to last about 10 years. I've already gone ahead and planted 4 tomatoes. I'm only going to plant 4. These things get gigantic. That cherry tomato's got its own little piece of real estate back there. I just know from experience that these are all going to come up to the left and take over the entire garden. And then tomorrow I'm going to go ahead and plant the peppers, which I know, again, from experience, I know that they don't take up too much real estate and they'll be happy over on the left side. I don't actually eat any of this stuff, but I've gotten pretty good at growing it. And I know my wife appreciates fresh vegetables, so that's why we do it. Alright folks, I hope things are going well, and have a great day.